My goodness, wait till I tell my friends. I had a professional photographer come and take my biography.
I'm excited, Shirley.
Hmm?
I'm excited and pleased that you've given me the privilege
Oh, no.
of capturing you and the
No.
information that you're going
I
to
feel
share with
privileged.
us.
I feel privileged that this is happening. This is an adventure. I've never had anything like this.
So we were talking about when you came up here and you joined the League of Women Voters. And
Well, I had been interested in water situations when I was living in New York. There were some problems, and there was an article in the magazine, How Pure is My Drinking Water?
mhm.
So this was something that was on my mind. Also, my brother asked me to do some copy for duplication on the Veritype machine. That had been my career, being a Veritypist. And I said, why? You have a staff, and here I'm at home with 4 children. He said, it has to be private, and I know if the staff gets hold of this, it'll be gossiped about. So I was interested, what could be so private? It was the Allied Chemical Company giving directions to the farmers how to use malathion, dieldrin, the whole bag of all these poisons that they were marketing, going to market. And skull and crossbones about that big on the front page, danger. Bury your suit in the ground when you're finished, spraying the field, get it on your face or your eyes, rush to the nearest hospital. And I said to my husband, Richard, they're poisoning us. And I took it to heart, and that was the finish of the key turning that made me really interested in what was happening in our environment. When I came up to Kingston, I joined the League of Women Voters. We had an air pollution study, we had a water pollution study, and I became editor of the paper, and its front page had an article, an environmental article, every month. And then Earth Day came around, 1970. People started to say, Shirley, what are you going to do? I said, I don't know what to do. Well, you write about it all the time. I said, yes, I hope I'm making people aware of what's happening. And so finally I said, well, if you're interested, come to my house such and such an evening. She spread the word. 35 people showed up in my home. Now, they were sitting on the floor because I don't have 35 chairs. And we formed a group, and we named it the Environmental Management Council of Ulster County. Very dignified. The first thing we did was shut the buses off from idling at the schools. There was lead in the gasoline in those days, and somehow they always seemed to park near the playgrounds. So the bus drivers didn't like us very much. Then we had the incinerator shut down from the high school. Ash would fly through the air. So the treasurer used to say to me, Shirley, you're costing us money. I said, yes, but the air is purer. Then we decided to recycle. And our first recycling drive was in January 1971. Just newspaper, and we had the cooperation of the principal of the high school who allowed us to use the driveway into the high school, and we collected over 7 tons of paper. We were astonished at our success. It grew after that exponentially. People came out of the woodwork to join us, and I went on a speaking tour looking for places to talk to people. I talked to children in school, in classes. We had buttons made that said Ulster County Recycles. I'll show you one. I would make the children my deputies and that you cannot do better than a child who gets a button to wear and they're important. The parents used to say to me, Shirley, they're driving me crazy, the son or the daughter. I can't throw away a scrap of paper. I can't. In those days, to recycle glass, you had to remove the tin top and soak the labels off. And when we started to collect paper, we had bottles, we had to separate them by clear, brown, and green, which we did. We marketed the paper to the garden paper factory in New Jersey that made new newspaper. The glass went to Orangeburg, where they became new bottles. The tin we sold to Reynolds Aluminum. But that all developed through the years. The office was my home, and I became so involved with this that my husband put another telephone into the house for my environmental phone, so the family phone would not be busy when the child wanted a call or a friend. By 1973, the last drive that I chaired, and you have to believe me, we collected almost 100 tons of paper. We had 5 trucks. Now a flatbed truck, if you pack it solid, holds 40 ton. I've had them all over the county to save gasoline. People shouldn't have to come from all ends. You know, we had that organized already. And each truck was full. 80 ton of glass. And that was because they weighed it and told us and paid us a certain amount. Aluminum, hundreds of pounds, hundreds. And I had ladies from the Philharmonic flattening them with road tampers from the highway department. Now, we needed indoor space to do separation and packing and everything, so I went to the National Guard and I said, I need the armory. I need your trucks, I need your men. Now, I can't ask you for any money for a raffle even. I can't. But I can go into the Army Reserves, which I did also, and I fell in love with the front end loader from the Army Reserve. Because the last drive we held, instead of the men walking up boxes and dumping the glass into the gondolas for collection and transportation, they brought a front-end loader, and all you did was drop it in, and oh my God, I fell in love. Anyway, so I can ask for things. We had these drives, and then I decided we should have fairs, environmental fairs. And the first one we did was held at my town garage. And we had, from the state, we had a tester to test your emissions coming out of your car, because it still was lead in the gas. I had a model of, at Cary, the institute, they were building a building with solar. I had them come with a model of that building. The head of it came. Oh, he was so nice. And then all different things we had in that garage. Then we decided, my committee and I, because there were other crazy people like me around, we decided we should go to New Paltz University and have our fair there. So again, I go to see the president and I tell him who we are, and we need the gymnasium. First I said to him, we need your gymnasium. He says, what for? So I explained and told him all the different exhibits that came, and he gave it to us twice. We had fairs at New Paltz University. And through the years, I'm an anti-nuclear power person. So the state, I'm backing up, the state passed a law that towns had to have commissions, environmental, and the county had to have a council with representatives from, well, my little volunteer group had grown to such a point we had members from every town practically as part of the volunteer group. So when this law was passed, and they got in touch with all the towns latched on to these volunteers as being knowledgeable and being the persons that should be there. And I was given the pleasure of being the chairperson of that. And I will tell you, right now, being a volunteer, you can go ahead and try something. If it doesn't work, you try something else. But you can be adventurous. Being in the government is like having your feet in frozen molasses. You have to go through so much before you can do anything. So that's on the record. So anyway, then when I wanted to do something about anti-nuclear, I had nobody who wanted to take the responsibility. So my term was up, and I refused to take another term. I'm going to be the chairperson of an anti-nuclear power committee. And I knew one man who was a professor at New Paltz, and he had the same sympathies. He took me down there, and he introduced me to professors that he knew were anti-nuclear power. And I was able to get a committee of 5 professors with their PhDs, 2 were heads of their departments. That was my committee. So that is another aspect of what we did. We created testimony, we traveled to hearings, and there was a worldwide conference in Washington, D.C. about low-level radiation. I was on crutches. My husband drove me down, and I went to that conference. And first time I wore earphones, for the translate. There were people there from Okinawa, and that was something to think they came from Japan to be part of this, That's when I began to realize more things. And that was an experience. I had a physicist borrow a publication called The Beer Report from me. He never returned it. Now, people held up that Beer Report, which shows you, to prove yay and to prove no on issues. That report was so important. But you could interpret it either way. And that is the problem with some of these scientific things. You can do it one way or the other way. Anyway, I attended a lot of hearings on that, read a lot of stuff on that, and that was a big part of my life too. But as far as recycling, when we started, they were calling me the garbage lady. And I had such cooperation from people. The head of the highway department in the city said to me, "Shirley, if there's a storm, I will see that it's plowed." It's something like that. You couldn't ask for more cooperation than I got from a lot of people. But there were other people who didn't want to see me come into their office. They just didn't want to know me. I was that crazy woman. And that's, I'll show you my scrapbook.